Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. The last couple of days or so have been a bit scary in terms of price action for XRP and the broader crypto asset class, but guess who isn't having trouble sleeping as a result of this? The answer is Moon Lambo, and I hope that's true for you as well. So it sounds like this, it's just like a keep your eyes on the prize. So there's no shortage of scary news out there. There's a lot of doom and gloom. I don't know if we've bottomed out. I never pretend to know. In particular, in terms of like the shorter term price movements here. But I'll share with you in this video, not to scare people. I share the positive and the negative perspectives from people out there. But there is an analyst who's very pro XRP, and he's warning XRP may get drop down to as low as 40 cents. Now, of course, heavily dependent upon what Bitcoin does. So if Bitcoin's seen about the worst of its price hemorrhaging, then maybe we're not going to see that anyway. But maybe we are. Either way, though, I'm going to focus on the long term, the big picture, and just how early we are. In fact, I'm going to share with you a portion of this article titled "The First Truly Global Macro Trade," which comes from Pantera Capital, written by Dan Moorhead, who is he's actually the first Bitcoin and thus first crypto hedge fund in the United States. And I believe that launched in 2013. Now, technically, he launched his firm I think it was in the early 2000s. But in terms of Pantera Capital, the crypto hedge fund, that was, if memory serves, 2013. So he's been very forward-thinking from the get-go. He has also publicly stated that he could not be more bullish on XRP. In fact, he stated maybe a year and a half ago that if you fast forward a decade out from that point, then there's probably going to be maybe whatever it was, I'm paraphrasing here, something like a dozen cryptocurrencies may exist in that point, because it'd be a mature asset class by then, presumably. And he thinks that XRP is going to be one of them. And he has stated that, this is a quote, "a wall of money is coming." And he said that it's going to drive prices way, way, way up. And I'm going to illustrate to you just how early we are and just how much all this volatility that may be scary to a lot of people out there just isn't going to matter when this is all said and done. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Oh, excuse me, folks. As I record this, XRP is at 60 cents. Bitcoin, $36,027. Market cap for the asset class, 1.69 trillion, and Bitcoin dominance at 40.53%. And within the last 24 hours, XRP has been as low as 59 cents. Bitcoin has been as low as $35,523. So, not surprisingly, people are scared as hell. Here's the Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 22 out of 100, indicating market participants are in extreme fear. And I'm not. I'm just excited about this. And I've said too, I don't care how low XRP goes, because none of this is an indicator of long-term viability. The asset class is here to stay. And this volatility, while extreme compared to any other asset class, it's a known quantity. It's to be expected. So as the asset class continues to perform in ways that historically, we should just come to expect right now. Like, there's no good logical reason to be fearful. Not in my humble opinion. Here is chart analyst Leb Crypto, who tweeted out the following on May 3rd. And at the time, Bitcoin's price was, depending on what time of day you're looking at, probably around $39,000. And he tweeted out 3 days ago, $35,800, inevitable target this week, in my opinion, hashtag Bitcoin. Oh, and he was certainly correct. And so he doesn't always put out targets quite that precise, but that one caught my attention, and it played out. It's been a few days, and he is very, very pro XRP, very bullish on XRP over the long term. But in the short term, a little bit of warning here. He's not afraid by this, but he's just sharing his personal opinion. And on XRP, he wrote the following: "Major reload zone, in my opinion, is 40 to 50 cents. Getting in buy orders there will likely prove well for a juicy swing long trade this year. Hashtag XRP." And here's the chart that he shared. So even if that happens, and it's still an F, and he certainly does acknowledge that a lot of it's dependent on what happens with Bitcoin. Bitcoin leads the market. Even if this happens, he recognizes how this works. You know, when the price is suppressed and people are panic selling, historically, that's a good time to buy. On the flip side, when people are feeling euphoric and prices are at all-time highs, Perhaps that's not going to last forever, and that might be a good time to sell. Just in a general sense, he certainly gets this. He still does think that XRP is going to hit at least $10 this market cycle, but realistically, he's thinking $20 to $30. That hasn't changed. Here is a perspective from chart analyst Credible Crypto. Shared the following perspective with his 329,000 followers all up on the Twitters. He wrote, "I'd love to see a straight pump from here, but as I've said before, getting a nice classic bullish divergence into a key area of support/demand is always a good setup for a reversal. Again, don't want to linger down here too long, so this should resolve within a day or two." Bitcoin. Here, I can make this full screen for everybody that cares to see this for just a moment here. So, people losing their ever-loving minds, just same story over and over and over again. I've been in the space since November of 2017. There are these shakeouts, and then eventually price at some unknown point in the future, sometime sooner than later, it goes back up and life continues. Well, how about that? And in this case, he's saying going to be resolved within a day or two, probably. Now, take a look at this chart. This is from on-chain analyst Willy Woo, who shared the following with his 1 million followers on Twitter. And this is a cool chart. So for those of you that can look at your screen, it's worth doing so. This chart is labeled Rolling 4-Year Growth, Bitcoin versus Other Assets. So each one of these lines, they're all color-coded here, represents different assets. So for instance, the blue one here at the top, that's Bitcoin. And then there are other assets listed here, and they're all pretty well clumped together for the most part. You can see gold's listed, silver, U.S. stocks, U.S. tech stocks, U.S. real estate, bonds, oil, so on and so forth. And so again, this is a rolling 4-year growth, Bitcoin versus other assets. And you will note that Bitcoin is not touching the other assets at all, which is relevant. And he wrote the following. "I call this chart, we are still early. Hodling for 4 years, Bitcoin has always outperformed every other asset class. Always. Zooming out, things become clear. When the blue trace moves into the cluster of the other assets, Bitcoin will have matured." So folks, this is exciting. While everybody's scared and losing their ever-loving minds today, this is one chart, it's another way of looking at it, that highlights what I've been saying for the longest damn time, which is that we are super duper early, which is why people that have money invested now in crypto, broadly speaking, even though he's specifically citing Bitcoin here, it doesn't matter, the whole asset class is like this, there's still that opportunity for life-changing wealth, and the volatility is not going to go away, nor do I personally want it to. Because when the volatility goes away, and it's as boring to trade crypto as it is stocks, that means that the quick life-changing wealth opportunities will be gone at that point. And we're going to get there. There's going to be a mature asset class, and eventually it's going to be just as boring as investing in everything else. These are the good times, okay? It doesn't make sense, for my humble opinion, to be scared about this stuff. And to help paint the picture of just how positive this is, which is why I think you could use some news like this and a message delivered on days like this, because I understand what it's like. Okay, I get it. But that's the reason that I want to highlight a portion of this having to do with the amount of money that's actually going to flow into the space and how things have been trending anyway. And so this was written by Dan Moorhead, who is the founder and CEO of Pantera Capital, who again, of course, is very pro XRP. He does think XRP is going to be here for the long haul. And like I said, he said, if you fast forward a decade out, it'll be one of the only cryptocurrencies that's still around because it's actually doing stuff. It's solving problems. That means that there's actual value there. And so he's got this little subheading of this piece that I wrote, which is actually very long. But this is the portion I wanted to cover. It's titled Institutional Transition Phase. So again, to highlight how early you are. And it's just why exactly it could not be more clear that the volatility that we're seeing now, it's a positive, not something to be scared. I mean, were you going to sell now? And it was today the day we were going to sell, but now you can't because it went low. Come on. If you're one of the people, fine. If you're investing more than you're willing to lose and you can't sleep at night, okay. Figure out how to fix that for yourself. I understand it's possible to be over-leveraged. But in terms of the question of whether or not the asset class is here to stay, is it going to be worth way more in the future? As long as the internet's going to exist, the answer is yes, it's going to be worth way more in the future. But check out what he had to say here. Institutional investors are in an uncomfortable moment. A few years ago, it would have been massive career risk to propose investing in blockchain. A few years from now, it will be a huge fiduciary risk to not be invested. We're in that uncomfortable interregnum period. One observation I'd share from having had so many conversations with institutional investors is to not get obsessed with trying to figure out which protocol will win. It's not productive to stress about which is going to win, Ethereum or Solana. Sometimes investors want to spend the majority of a meeting trying to figure that out. That's not how you pick an equity manager. You don't wait until the manager can explain which one company is going to take over the entire world. You select a great manager and let them buy a portfolio of stocks and trade into new things over time. The investment process should be the same in blockchain. The beauty is you don't have to decide between Ethereum and Solana. You are allowed to buy both, and Polkadot and Terra and 20 to 30 others which we own. The logjam is breaking. Massive institutions are just now investing. We're seeing it ourselves. We're closing our blockchain fund next month at well over double our target with a large influx of new institutional investors. It's really hard to get from 0 to 1. It's taken 12 years to get these institutions to invest. They are generally investing amounts like 20 basis points of their assets under management into our fund. So I'll just pause to note that's true of anything with new technology, right? Pretty much. I mean, I've seen Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse talk about this concept as well. How it was difficult for them to get their very first customer, especially one that was utilizing XRP as a bridge currency. But so very hard to go from 0 to 1, but to go from 1 to 10, much easier actually, as it turns out. So it's just to get things moving because nobody wants to be the first, right? It's hard to find that first one. But anyway, his piece continues. However, it's not that hard to grow your exposure once you get over the 0 to 1 chasm. In my mind, it's very clear that all those institutions, which have something like 0.2% invested in blockchain, are going to something like 8% over the next 5 to 10 years. The wall of money is coming into blockchain assets. It will drive prices way up. Folks, that's a direct quote from. Think about this. 0.2%, these institutional players, 0.2% invested in blockchain out of their total assets under management. So as adoption continues, and they dip their toe in water, great. If he's right, it's more like 8% over the next 5 to 10 years. My gosh, this is why he's calling it a wall of money. What's that going to do for all the cryptocurrencies that are going to be hanging around? Like all the cryptos that are going to be here a decade from now. What does that mean? What does it mean for XRP if it continues to be viable? What if it is? Because look, I'm just watching adoption increase with XRP, and then I'm looking at this type of money flowing, and you're talking about trillions of dollars. My gosh, and people are afraid because in the short term, Bitcoin's down and XRP's a little bit lower today than it was a few days ago. So what? Who the hell cares? My gosh, folks. It's the emotional retail speculators that cause this, like I keep saying, and you should expect them to continue behaving like this, causing the volatility. I call them, half jokingly, useful idiots, because they're making what I would deem as ridiculous buying and selling decisions, emotionally buying and selling. But I'm very thankful that they do what they do because they're the ones that make the volatility possible. I want them to be there. It's part of my investment strategy to do nothing while they behave like this. I need these useful idiots, and so do you, okay? And I'm not saying it to be venomous or anything. I'm just, it's kind of funny to look at it like that. But it is true. Like, if you're making important financial decisions based on emotion, it's kind of stupid. It's kind of stupid, don't you think? I'm just saying it here. Anyway, Dan Moorhead continues. We've raised $2 billion since the beginning of 2021. Our peers have raised similar amounts. That money will get invested. It might take a year or two, but it will get invested. In the next couple of years, we and our peers will probably be seeing those institutions investing an order of magnitude more money into our space. It seems almost inevitable that the blockchain market melts up. This moment in time is also uncomfortable because traders still think blockchain is supposed to trade in correlation to most other risk assets. I think the markets will soon realize that blockchain is totally different. There are no cash flows to discount. Rising rates have no impact on crypto. Crypto is priced on supply and demand. Every 2 years, 10 times as many people use crypto. If there's a fixed quantity of something, and 10 times as many people want to own it, it goes up. I know it's so basic, but People have trouble with this, and especially in times like this. That's why I wanted to highlight on a day like this where it's scary and the price is down. I just wanted to deliver a more broad and positive message. This is to be expected, and it's incredible. And then he said, in a world where most risk assets have terrible performance, investors will seek out the few, like blockchain, that can perform well. Golf clap for Mr. Moorhead, everybody. What a beautiful message here. And so again, if XRP continues to be valuable, it's not just going to go away. It's going to continue to get adopted and traded further. There's not that much XRP on the planet. There really isn't. Think about it. With a fraction of a percent of humans having ever held XRP at any point in time, when it hit its all-time high a few years back, it went to almost $4, with almost no humans on the planet holding it. What's going to happen as more people jump in? Because again, he said a tenfold increase in those people using blockchain, a tenfold increase every couple of years. Supply and demand, folks. There's not that much out there, which is why for me, I'm just going to hold until I'm sufficiently enticed to sell, however long that takes. Okay, I don't care. This is the opportunity of lifetime, and I will not squander it. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. So that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.